Welcome to Culture on Tap, Season 2. We are back. We are a podcast that is about bridging the cultural gap, one conversation at a time. We have myself, Xavier, we have Dale sitting across from me, and then we have Reigns behind the camera. If you haven't already, please make sure that you like, subscribe, and share on anywhere you listen or watch podcasts, and make sure you hit the bell so that you get the notifications whenever we have new content coming out, so that you can tap in with us, so that we can be an extra resource for you, whether it's encouraging or challenging. But yes, like I said, we are back, Season 2. How you feeling?
I'm glad to be back.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we took time off the summer, and I guess we could talk about that a little bit. Summer, how did summer go? I know for me and you, it was different than Range. We, on top of just, I mean, we were all busy, but we spent 2 weeks at youth camp, which is the first time we've done that, teaching and taking students.
And picking up some new subscribers.
Yeah, some of you, this is picking you up from our teaching there. So what did you do this summer, Range? And then we'll kind of get into camp.
Sorry, we've got stuff going off all over the place.
I know. Like our messages are going crazy.
No, so you know, we had a good summer around the house. The boys are back in school, but now one thing that we did do over the summer, we had a couple of not really additions, but extras around the house. We did some respite.
What's the difference between an addition and an extra?
Well,
I'm just kidding.
Let me just be clear. We understand you're saying respite because y'all
right
assisted in helping watch some children.
Yeah.
Did it not start it off like they added a pet?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. No.
We got a new fish named Roscoe.
No additional pets. I think Jessica did bring a fish home, and it lasted, I think, like a day and a half.
Why
I would
did
say
I call
this
the
is
fish Roscoe?
Would you not agree? This has been this.
Yeah, who names a fish Roscoe?
I feel like that's a great name for a fish if you're going to have one.
Yeah.
I would say this is also the summer of death at your family because y'all had a bunch of chickens.
We had a bunch.
And now you only have one left named
got one.
Lucky.
Roscoe?
Lucky. Because she's lucky to be there.
She's lucky to be alive.
Yeah. Yeah, we went from 6 to 1.
6 to 1. It's been a funeral season for the Armitages.
Yeah.
You need some more?
Not right now. Okay. Yeah. We'll get there. We'll take you up on that at a later date.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the way that you just said that means like, or it sounded like, are y'all eating them?
Oh no.
Okay.
No.
Bandit.
Bandit is
Bandit.
he
Bandit.
Yeah. Bandit.
Hey.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
He's little in stature, but he's mighty in bite.
Yeah. He'd take a chicken on like no other. But yeah, great. So we had a couple of children.
Yes.
That we took in on respite. A couple of weekends or whatever. So that was basically the extent of our summer.
Cool. Oh. Yeah. So like I said, we did youth camp 2 weeks. First week we took our students from our church, still taught, and then our amazing wives took them, plus Roy took them back home. We stayed. I mean, our families came back up, and we directed camp and taught the second week, which is vastly different.
Yeah.
So
brings on its different challenges.
Yeah, I mean it's well for you. Then this might be what sleep deprivation is real.
Lord,
he is. Let me just tell
mercy.
y'all. I learned a new side of my friend. The moodiness that comes out in his being tired is something different.
Well, we weren't meant to go to sleep late and wake up early. That makes no sense.
I'm just telling you, like, the positive, though, is when there's problems the second week and you're the director, not that you don't want to help, but they ain't your kids. So, like, your emotions are not tied to, like, oh, he got in a fight. That stinks for you. Let me tell you what the next step needs to be.
Yeah.
So that part's good, but staying up. But, I mean, let's just be real honest. The first week when it's time to go to bed, the lights are still on. Like,
I don't know what's going on. 'Cause my bedtime, like, I got to be in bed anywhere between 8:30 and like 9:15. Like, that's normal. And then I get up at 5. and I have my, my routine every day. So whenever we got to stay up past that and then get up, we still getting up later than I usually do, but I'm going to sleep later. So it's like, this is hard. That was the biggest challenge for me.
So what was if that was your biggest challenge, what was the biggest positive takeaway?
I think there's two things that I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed getting to know the staff, as far as the M3 staff, and helping them as best as we could, but also just getting to know each one of them. That was rich. That was amazing. But also, even though it was hard for me, just because I was just tired, but the morning times whenever the youth pastors would come into that little youth room, and we got to know a lot of youth pastors and their volunteers and just have great conversation. That was a rich time for me as well that I thoroughly enjoyed. So
for me, I would say, of course, we enjoyed the time we had with our students, but we spent a lot of time with them anyways. And they were good. Like they could have made the week difficult if they wanted to, and they really didn't. I would say that the standouts, I agree, getting to know the staff, hanging out with them, loving on them. I think we are naturally shepherds at heart, so we naturally wanted to do that. The other positive for me would be just the conversations that came from our breakouts, our wives. Like it's like even our single breakouts, but it was even like it blessed my heart to have people come up and say how great our wives' breakouts were as well, and just to like some of you've joined the list because of those breakouts, which is really, really cool. The biggest negative for me, hands down, 2 weeks of camp food. Bro.
My stomach still ain't recovered.
I mean,
I thought you were going to say making coffee.
Well, the coffee is close second. Like, so, not that X knew, we drew straws the first day we were going to take over as director, and I did not pick well. I probably had to do it anyways because he's not a coffee guy. So we made the decision that he would, as soon as we got up, we had a golf cart. He would drop me off at the adult stand, and I would start making coffee, and he'd go get like the creamer and all that was in the fridge.
And restocking the fridge with the sodas and the energy
I thought I would
drinks
be
and stuff
making like, because we had a slow pour, and then we had just a regular pot. I thought I'd be making 1 or 2 cups or pots. I was making like 8 of slow pour.
From 6 o'clock till 8:30 in the morning.
Just
he
getting
was
it.
getting coffee.
I had never made so much coffee in my life. That was rough. But the food, and I would say for camp food, this camp food's one of the better I've been to. Like, it's, I mean, when I say better, it's not getting like 2 stars, but it's every meal is edible, which I've been to camps where every meal is not. But I will tell you,
I'd beg to differ. There was one
Thursday grilled
chicken that was not edible.
Thursday grilled chicken. When you have to eat that translucent grilled chicken the second week in a row, I'm telling you, I probably put a half a pound of mayonnaise. I had to drown out the taste.
I ain't eat it the second week.
You took a nap.
Yep.
He was so tired on Thursday.
I went to sleep.
He went to sleep.
Did not eat that lunch. Nope.
I ate it, and I regret it even to today. But overall, busy summer.
Yep.
A lot of great love the time we got to spend. And because of this channel and the people that watch, we got the opportunity to do some teaching. And there's even already conversations about what next summer looks like, and we'll figure that out as we get closer. So all that aside, we get to our fun part. This is Fun Facts with Range.
All right.
So let's just be clear. Sometimes I think that people think that we are orchestrating this and it's not a real thing. This one today came out of the conversation of our get to know you. So we made the decision.
So the Mount Rushmore.
Yes, yep. We made a decision to go, let's do our Mount Rushmore of characters. And Range gave us the look. The look that we both know that I'm not 100% sure. And he goes, and correct me if I'm wrong, you said, I saw it once on the Richie Rich movie.
Yes.
but I've never.
Well, hold on. That's not what he said. He said I saw it once on the little kid
That's real rich.
His parents real rich movie.
And somehow I figured out what it was.
You figured it out. You broke the code. I'm like, bro, that is.
But the funny part is, I remembered it because that scene in the movie is like probably one of the bigger scenes in the movie.
Sure.
And so I said, yeah, and he goes, but if I'm being real honest, and you're not sure that it's real because you've never actually seen it.
Never actually seen it. And I mean,
so you have no idea where it's at.
I don't know where it's at or what it's actually of.
So,
Okay.
so
South Dakota, right?
South Dakota.
Yeah.
Okay.
South Dakota.
There you go.
So it's
Which may or may not be a real place.
according to you, according to Range, we're not sure that South Dakota's real. Which I will defend you on this one. My son is under the belief if you can't find someone that's from somewhere, can it be a real place? And there's multiple states. He's like, I've never met anybody from there. Even though we have actually had family that lived in South Dakota, and he's like, yeah, I don't know about that. So Mount Rushmore is a mountainside that someone has carved faces in the side of it.
Which listen to the words that you're saying seems completely not
real.
And I'm not saying.
I thought he was going to say really cool.
He said, listen to the words that you're saying.
It feels like
listen to the words that you were saying.
Like
He's saying you sound utterly ridiculous.
I know. Like he acts like I'm just making this up on the spot. No,
But it sounds that way. To me, it honestly sounds like it's completely made up.
So I'm fixing to blame. There's multiple mountainsides that have things like monuments carved in them.
No.
Yeah, like Stonewall in Atlanta. He's a general. In the
Never heard of that.
in the Confederate Army. Then what's the Native American? I think it's of Geronimo. It's either Geronimo or Bull Run. I think it's Geronimo has one carved of him. Like there's I'm talking. I can't name them all. There's over 10.
If y'all could see his face right now,
I'm gonna just go out there and say I don't believe you. Like I was okay with
this make believe Mount Rushmore.
So we're clear. Like, and these aren't like
because I've heard of it, and
we're not talking little heads. These are massive monuments of people. So here's the game. There's 4 heads in the side of this monument. How many do you think Range can get right with 3 strikes?
None.
None? I feel like you can get 1. 3 strikes. 1.
I appreciate
the
confidence, but I don't have a clue like what kind of people they are.
Yeah. That's why.
I mean,
why are they on the side of the mountain?
If he doesn't know the mountain,
they're not just gonna like go to your next door neighbor and say, "Hey, we'd like to put you on a mountain." Like they've got to be of importance. So think of it that way.
So like celebrities or
yeah. Go ahead. Just give us
but
4.
Give just off the top.
So you said of importance, not famous.
I mean, famous people are important to certain people, not to say to me.
You think Oprah on there? Mount Rushmore.
I doubt it.
She important?
I don't have. So I'm gonna guess that. I don't. Are they like political people? Are they like?
I don't want to give you more clues.
Just 4 people.
I honestly, I have zero
give
idea.
Us 4 people. Oprah 1. There you go.
There we go.
No, Oprah's not. Just who is somebody that you don't know anybody in this world that you like? Maybe they is on there.
I don't. George Washington.
Ah, there you go.
George Washington is on there.
Really?
Yes, I was right.
Wow.
Do you care to have another guess?
I guess if there's one, are they all presidents? Then?
I can't confirm.
Just you got 3 left. You did great on the first.
You
one.
did great. No strikes, 1 on the mountain.
I don't know that I can.
You don't know
any other president.
Do you want to go with Oprah?
Wait. He said he don't know he was president.
And
You don't know any other?
I watched Hamilton,
Oh, there you go.
but I don't know if any from there were.
Well, they only
president.
name one other president in Hamilton. Well, there's two in it, but they only name one other president.
Which so I know it's going to be all older. So
That would be correct.
So that takes Oprah off the board.
Takes Oprah. It takes Bill Clinton off.
Yes.
I don't. What's another old president?
I'm
They're like a Carter or something like that.
Carter. Carter was 70s, right?
Yeah, Jimmy Carter. But he's not there. He's not there. I will say this. I'm going to help you out.
Isn't there a Carter in that?
Another person in Hamilton is on the mountain. A key actor, like the name said a lot in Hamilton, is on the mountain.
Initials TJ?
TJ. You lost me.
Initials.
Yeah, I know what initials are. Thank you.
I just, how does that lose you?
I don't.
He was in France a lot. He raps a lot in Hamilton.
Yeah, I don't remember his name. I know who you're talking about though.
Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah, there you go.
The other two, one, there's no chance he's getting. Do you know the other two? I know him.
Is it Abraham Lincoln?
Yep.
Is
Really?
one. And the last
why
one.
are you shocked? Like he's a pretty big deal to this country.
And the last one.
This is the one.
Roosevelt.
Roosevelt.
That's the name I was thinking of whenever I said Carter.
It's close. It's close. Carter,
Roosevelt,
Roosevelt.
yeah,
We're in the
yeah,
same
yeah.
ballpark. Same ballpark. So Range learned today. Let me just make sure it's in South Dakota because I don't want to give him false information. I'm gonna Google it.
Yeah, I think it is.
I think it is.
I don't know. But so when
Hey,
was
you
it?
got one.
South Dakota.
When was
Keystone.
it made? When was it done?
Oh, when was it done? Let's see. That's a good question too.
Because I mean that's
Early
That's
1900s.
that's a big feat for
1925.
wow.
It's like you should like the here's the part. I don't.
That takes
the
Oprah
fact
off
that
the
he
board.
doesn't know.
For sure.
The fact that he doesn't know who's on there doesn't shock me because I would argue a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like I think most people get Washington
And Abraham Lincoln.
and probably Jefferson. Like if you sit down and calmly think, like those are like very few probably won't get Roosevelt.
Yeah.
The part that shocks me is again you graduated college.
Yeah.
And between kindergarten and getting your bachelor's degree,
Yeah.
you have not seen a picture of this.
No.
But watching Richie Rich.
I did see it on Richie Rich
But it's not even it's of Richie Rich. It's
Right.
of his family.
of his family.
Like they're so rich they basically redid Mount Rushmore.
Right.
But you didn't did you never watch couldn't they on National Treasure too?
I ain't never watched those.
Oh. I know
I have actually watched
one in.
parts or one of them.
Oh, well. It's crazy to me that you've never seen it.
Yeah.
Because it's like
It's a big deal.
it's a big not I mean whether you're political or not, the fact that someone that long ago carved those in the side of a mountain is crazy.
Yeah.
It seems unbelievable.
So there you go.
So much so that
Fun
he
fact-
doesn't believe you. He
fun
said,
fact,
listen
Range.
to the words that are coming out of your
According to
mouth.
Range, do not go to South Dakota to see the Mount Rushmore because it's not going to be there.
And South Dakota may not be there.
May not be there.
It may or may not.
Yeah. So we
is
kicked off season 2 with a
great.
good and we didn't even have that wasn't even the one we had planned for today.
Yeah. I mean, this is what happens whenever you have conversation with Range.
Yeah, you just never
You
know.
find
Never
out
know.
a
And,
lot.
and that's the funny part is people think that we're making this up.
No, it's 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Range will tell you firsthand, 100%.
No, 100% for sure.
Yeah.
That's great. So like Dale said, we are going to talk about the Hillsong documentary that came
Secrets
out
of Hillsong. Yeah, it came out
a few months ago. A couple months ago.
When did I go? When did I go to Colorado? Because I watched it then.
May, June.
So it's been out. I don't know how long before June, but I watched it in June. It was pretty new out at that point. So
so it probably came out May.
Yeah, probably May.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about that. This episode is going to be about the initial episode, the first episode of what was going on. So it's basically just the genesis of Hillsong, New York.
Yeah, it's mainly the gist of Hillsong, New York, and how, I mean, it does talk some about the overall growth of Hillsong and the rapid speed it grew.
Yeah.
But it's mainly about how crazy the movement was in New York to go, which is a city that's not huge on the gospel.
Yeah.
And how basically Carl, Joel Houston hit the ground almost alone.
Yeah.
And within, what was it like? Went from 1 year they were running maybe 100 to running 7,000 in less than 4 years.
Yeah.
Which is absurd.
Yeah.
Like where we land on this, I can't even process in my head how to, as an organizational person, I would probably just give up. I'd be like, I don't know what to do here.
Yeah.
So that part alone is crazy.
Yeah. And they used the way that they, grew it that way was they used social media perfectly.
If I remember correctly,
Instagram came out October 6th
and then they
2010.
started like 10 days later.
Yeah.
So like they hit Instagram running, basically controlled the narrative out of Instagram, which is brilliant.
At the height of Hillsong Global, I think it was 2015, they had 30 locations, over 30 locations in over 30 different countries.
Yeah. And
having an annual basically income of 100 million, not 100,000, 100 million.
Yeah.
And
on every Sunday, they were averaging over 150,000 people.
Yeah.
We'll talk about this more later, but the peak of the ministry in 2018, they had 80 locations total, which is
That's crazy.
Worldwide, 80 locations, which was the largest church in the world.
Yeah.
Location-wise, not one entity, because I think the one entity is still Seoul, Korea, if I'm correct.
But it was crazy, and the first episode was just this crazy thing that happened.
Massive movement.
Yes.
I think that's a fair statement.
Yeah. So in that, was there anything as far as that you watched that encouraged you?
Yes. There was there's a couple. There was a couple.
Right.
One, the biggest. So I have a note card here of like just things that I jotted down when I watched it, because I've watched it twice. The largest positive I would say is they desired to break the mold of tradition and look different, and I thought they did that well.
Yeah.
That they did not. Let's just be honest. In this generation, tradition is probably, I think some people are craving it more now, but at that point in 2000, I think that's not what people wanted, and I thought they did a good job of doing that well.
Yeah.
Hitting Instagram, whether it was social media or just being in a like understanding your market. Like I thought it was brilliant in the episode. It talks about they put up a velvet robe and red carpet and did a line, and people are getting in line for church just because that's what New York people do.
Yeah.
They see a line, I want to be a part of it. Like they saw the culture they were in, and they did it.
Took advantage of it.
So I think that part was good.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that was, this one's less good, but it's good.
Kind of good.
Kind of good. We'll get more into this. They bathed people in Hillsong culture. Now, I don't agree with the Hillsong culture, but I think as church sometimes we do not do a good job of bathing people with the culture of the church that we have. We expect people just to understand who we are instead of just continually being repetitive. And I think that they did a phenomenal job of doing that. That was nice.
That was really good.
Yeah.
You got more than me.
2. I got 2.
And mine isn't even probably. There's no way to know for sure.
Oh wow! So you're not, like
No.
you're, like yours is with a lowercase g.
That is a shot in the dark, right? Like yours was really good.
Like yours is like a Johnny Manziel throw quarterback
Just
throw.
hoping.
Just hoping someone comes
Hoping
down with it.
somebody's there right? On our team, right? Mine is okay. You have over 150,000 people.
Oh, this isn't gonna go well.
That like was coming into this
Yeah.
church.
You already did air quotes. You already did air quotes.
I'm sure that there is at least one that authentically came to know the Lord. Yeah. And I don't know. But like
Yes. So I actually wrote this down. We have to understand that the documentary was written by.
it's slanted.
It's slanted. It's meant
Clearly.
it's meant to make church look bad. Because
Yes.
there's things that they say, even in messages that were done, that I'm like, that looks really bad.
Yeah.
But it's taken out of context, like when it
Yes.
talks about breaking the lamb's legs and stuff like
Yes.
that. Like,
And everybody that they chose to bring on this documentary they were hurt
and hates the church.
and hates the church.
There's no doubt in my mind there are people that were a part of this that left, that are in love with Jesus
Yeah.
and have gone to another church.
Yeah.
There has to be. There has to be.
And so that's
There's got to be.
there's
Well, I mean, what's his name? I write on my card. Hold on, let me look. Like, there's no, just so we're clear, there's nothing on my screen is blank. Josh Canfield, which is the guy that was on Survivor, the homosexual worship leader, he announced that he left that church and went to another. I'm not saying that I agree with all that, but he did. He said he left Hillsong and went to another church and is going faithfully.
yes, he
So
did.
one
Yes.
for sure. We saw one on the documentary that went from one church to another.
Yeah. But like that's the only
I mean, I'm sure.
thing
I'm sure.
that I saw that I was maybe encouraged by.
That somebody might have went to church?
No, that somebody that it was actually authentic. Like their faith
Oh,
was authentic.
whose?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. It's a shot in the dark.
Like you're.
But I'm saying out of 150,000.
Just so we're clear, your good comment is like when you see your wife when she has something on that you don't love, or a haircut or something, like you're like, "How, babe, I love you." Like you said nothing.
No, I'm saying something.
What are you saying?
Out of 150,000 people, I'm sure that one of them have authentic faith. That's the only thing that I saw.
Oh, but you didn't
That
see
encouraged me. Yeah, I saw the numbers.
Yes,
I saw the
do agree
numbers.
with you. There's no way that everyone there, that no one found Jesus.
Yeah.
I have to believe that.
Yeah.
I have to.
So that's the only thing. Like I said, I said it from the jump. This is a shot in the dark.
Yes,
This is the only thing that I was encouraged by, that I don't even know if it's actually a thing.
Yeah.
But 150,000?
somebody.
One.
It's even your body language. It's literally like, I just want you to know, you look so much better since you lost weight. I gained 5 pounds. You look better. That's how it feels, right?
It's on you differently.
It's on you differently.
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Yeah. So that's the only thing that I saw in the first episode that was encouraging,
Yeah. I mean,
and I didn't even really see it. But
Yeah.
hoping.
I will also say this. This is the good. They did a phenomenal job of creating excitement and making people feel like if you're not here, you're missing out. And I don't think we do that well for the church, at all.
Yeah. Red flags.
There's a lot. There's a lot. It kind of goes back to the thing I just gave them as a positive. First red flag is they never referred to Hillsong New York as a church, it was always an experience. That's a red flag for me. And I feel like in trying to, another where I said was good, and trying to look different in their culture, they looked too different. It almost felt like we're trying to sneak in. And I'm not saying, like, even from the video, it's clear that Carl was preaching of Jesus and telling people to serve the Lord. But it did still feel like, take what you want, but really enjoy the music.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of us here, and we're having a great time together. Like, it was more about feeling accepted to the people and not to Jesus.
Exactly.
That's yeah. I have another good.
Hey,
it's kind of a backhanded good.
That's good because you heard mine.
I thought he did a phenomenal job of making it look like something it wasn't.
Explain that.
So, as he sits there in a room full of 7,000 people, he brings the black young man on stage and says, "You're struggling with depression. I'm here for you." Hugs his neck and says, "You call me. We are going to walk through your depression together." I'm not saying maybe he's genuine and call him, but I feel like when you do that, and then he brought the elder black lady on stage, gave her a nickname, Mama Jones. Like, this is he's giving intimate instances where 7,000 people look in and goes, "My pastor wants to know me."
Yeah.
And let me just be clear. I'm not saying he doesn't. It's physically impossible.
Yeah.
Like, there is no chance that he can be intimate in a relationship with even a third of them.
Yeah.
His wife even does a phenomenal job of writing. Like, one of the girls even says, the greatest day, which is also alarming, the greatest day at church is when Laura gave me a note. Not anything to do with Jesus.
Yeah.
Laura gave me a note. And so she's reading it but if you look at the note, it's not addressed to her.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that makes it not genuine, but it's not, she didn't know you.
Yeah.
But I thought they did a phenomenal job of making people feel like I am wanted here. And if Carl never gets to meet me, it's not because he doesn't want to. He really does want to. He really wants to know my problems.
Yeah.
Which is, I will give him, to have that many people in the room and make people believe that you want to know their first name. It's something.
Yeah.
I don't know how you pull that off. It's a gift. Maybe not always the greatest gift, but it's a gift.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's another positive.
Yeah.
What red flag? Give me some for you.
April 29th, 2012. That was my first Sunday at Hillsong, and I got it tattooed on me.
Yeah, that's a bad red flag. Like, why? Weird.
What?
First of all, it's weird. Like, so, yes, I have it on here. Got the date tattooed of your first day. Not when you gave your life to Christ.
Has nothing to do with Christ.
At all. The experience in the moment. Huge red flag. I mean, we have both been we are a part of a church plant. I would never get...
I don't remember the day.
Yeah, I wouldn't even get Emmett's logo tattooed on me. And I love our church. Like, yeah. I'm not doing that. Like, that's not happening. Another red flag for me was they had people leading worship that were there second week. She said, I came first week, loved what I heard, auditioned, and I was on the platform the next week.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah. Because it's not about ushering people into worship and ushering them into basically an atmosphere to receive
right
the word. It's about,
talent.
Hey, you're a really good singer. You need to be on here, sing these songs.
But when you say that's the major red flag is, it's about talent. Like, I think we both agree the biggest red flag was the whole first episode happens and not one person said about their pastor anything that had to do with Jesus. It was, he's a great speaker. He's good looking. He's charismatic. He engages well with people.
Somebody says Carl's best gift is that he is an amazing actor.
That's a scary, like, that feels like a dig.
Best gift?
Yeah.
Is that he's an amazing actor?
Yeah.
You know, and these are just facts from the episode, right?
Right.
This isn't just us
Yeah, this is not
dragging,
us like
digging,
giving our objective of who he is, because we don't know him.
Yeah.
Like all we can do is see, and just so we're clear, we're not going off of our stance just on the video. We had been following him for a while and saw red flags way before this.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah.
And it's not just a him, it's a whole movement of people in ministry.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think that's huge. But like, I also think when you think about leading worship in less than a month, there is a movement of people that believe, and this is, I guess, a question for you. Should you be on the platform leading worship if you are not a believer in Christ?
No.
I agree. Like, there's people that believe it, like you can do that. And let me say this. My belief is, can anyone serve in the church? Yes. Can anyone serve everywhere in the church? No. I think anyone can be a door greeter.
Yeah.
Saved or not saved.
Yeah.
Like, anybody can do that. I personally believe, even children's ministry, if you don't know Jesus and you have not been vetted well, you have no business in there.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and people are like, that's crazy. Would you let someone teach your kid in school that didn't go to college to be a teacher? Like, of course not.
No.
So, like, why would we want any different for our children when they're learning spiritual stuff? So, but I think that's the hang up, is part of this new movement is, you're talented. Let's put you up there, and along the way, you'll receive the gospel.
Mm-hmm.
Or
hopefully you'll catch it.
You'll catch on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how can you usher me into something that you haven't even experienced yourself? Like how like, and I mean, a lot of times we do that with worship, but just thinking about, would we do that with a new believer as far as communicating scripture? Right. We wouldn't do that. Right. Like you get up and you preach a sermon and it's like, no. So why would we do this? Like, because we look at worship as just kind of this thing for talent, for sounding good, for and you want all of that, right? You want that experience. However, we have turned worship into just,
it's a performance.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, because I think me and you would both agree, I would much rather have someone that has a genuine heart to lead people into worship than someone that can sing great.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want someone up there that can't carry a tune.
Right.
Like there's, and you need that. Like, like if you can't sing, you have no business up there leading people in worship. But for me, my question is, can you sing? The degree of how well you can sing pales in comparison to what is your view of worship and what is your goal in leading people there. Yeah. But I don't think that everyone.
Yeah. Another thing, this was another quote. It said, Hillsong was an ensemble cast around the star of the show.
Yes.
There would be no Hillsong New York without Carl Lentz.
That's scary.
That's another red flag for me. Because it was about, and we've seen this even in people who have basically good theology, who are good communicators, who, allowed power to get to their head. Whenever it's about one person and it's not about Jesus, that's a dangerous spot to be in, because we've seen it where one person falls or one person gets cut out, and then the entire thing just
crumbles,
falls apart.
Yeah, they're not the first. Mars Hill is another one. I mean, there's been multiple churches this has happened to. Another red flag for me with Carl Lentz, and this is actually the statement that me and you our first were like, that wasn't good. And he says it on multiple shows where people ask him his view on homosexuality, and then he says, we have a stance on love, and everything else we can have a conversation on. Which I'm not saying that that's a wrong statement.
Yeah.
However, I do think when you were in the public's eye, and they're being direct. They're not saying, hey, let's have a conversation on how you feel about all these things. They're asking you, is homosexuality wrong?
Yeah.
And your answer is, we have a stance on love and everything else we can have well, they're asking you to have the conversation.
Right.
And you're choosing not to because it's going to affect the bottom dollar.
Yeah.
Like that's what it boils down to.
Yeah. It's going to affect the brand.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think the biggest thing one of the things I took away was Hillsong starts in Australia. It comes to New York. The character, the vision, the church, the doctrine, the goal is all confused. Ultimate goal from Australia is more people, more money.
Yeah.
Like we see that as the episodes go on. But even the vision, like you've got Carl, who is allowing someone to lead worship, who is professing homosexual, goes on Survivor, professes that, and Carl supports that. But then you've got Brian, who is the overarching lead pastor that starts in Australia, that's adamantly against it.
Yeah.
And basically tells him he has to let this guy go.
Yeah.
So you already have a vision breakdown, and clearly there's a doctrine breakdown because people don't know where we stand.
Yeah.
So I mean, but it goes back to there's no discipleship.
Yep.
There's literally no discipleship. That's evident from the video or from what we've seen outside of the video.
Yeah. 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 Overarching takeaway for me on the first episode was, it was clear from the plant. I shouldn't say it was clear. The perception is that it was never about Jesus. And it was just about growth, money, expansion, influence. But like you said, like there was never and again, this documentary may be a little slanted, but as far as what we saw,
Sorry,
it's good. It was, he's a great communicator. He's charismatic. He's good looking. But I never heard he's a godly man. He's a student of the word.
Yeah, no one ever said he loves Jesus or he loves to be in the Bible.
And just because something looks great from the outside, from the standpoint of growth and expansion and influence, doesn't mean that it's always godly.
Right. No, I mean, well, and I think that goes back to there's two things that I really stuck out to me was and what you're saying, it was built from the jump. The goal is growth and money. This is what this is the primary goal.
Yeah.
I mean, because it even talks about this episode, which is crazy. In Australia, they have tiers of giving. Kingdom builders
is where you want to be.
Yeah, if you give the most, you're a kingdom builder, and you get to have coffee with the pastor. How arrogant and like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
Like by the way, we'd have nobody wanting to have coffee. Give 13 cents and you can have a Coke with us. But I mean, like, and like to say that and be like, this is a good thing. Like this is a good thing, and it's just crazy. But the thing that blew my mind was one of the journalists that's on this episode. I have no idea if he's a Christian or not. He came across like he's not. Made this statement. I thought this was super good about this particular mega church. He goes, "We asked the question, could we do it? We never asked the question, should we?" Like, and I think that's so true of the whole scenario is like, all we cared about, can we do this? Should we do this? Is this a good thing?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's the first episode. Like that's pretty much.
So what did you think? Because he did talk about this, and I mean, it kind of runs through all the episodes, and I think it's because of when it came out. What's your opinion? Because they talk about racism in Hillsong, like, and we could talk about this probably more in the later episodes about Carl in general, but it starts this undertone of you're very vocal, but even at this point, however many campuses there's no one on staff on the platform that's not white.
Yeah.
which is alarming.
Yeah.
Like your voice, and this is what I realized about Hillsong's words do not match their actions.
Yeah. And that's what it comes down to.
That's what it comes down to. And here's the thing, like, and this is what I would have said when you watch the first episode. Whether this was his goal, Carl raised to a level of fame and celebrity that hardly any pastor had ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, because we're not talking like famous in the Christian world. You're rocking with famous people, like hanging out in NBA stars' houses, and you're flying with Justin Bieber on his plane. Like, you're rocking $6,000 jackets. You're going to nightclubs that no one can get into. When you have your affair and fall short, fame works both ways.
Yep.
Like, no one cares if you ain't famous. Like, they should care, but no one, like, we ain't talking about the guy at a church that's down the road having an affair. It still breaks God's heart. But when you, like, it goes both ways. All your stuff comes out when you want, and I think that's the shift. Like, the Instagram was never, maybe it started out about coming to Hillsong, but it quickly turned into, what is Carl doing?
Yeah. Where
is he hanging out?
Yeah.
Where's he
Where's
partying?
he going?
Yeah. And that's when you have to go, is this a good thing? Because I'll be honest with you. I do not, because our services are live on Sunday. I do not post the ones that I preach in because it makes me feel bad. Like I don't want anybody to think that I'm promoting, like I did this.
Yeah.
Every time you preach, I share it.
Yeah.
If it's me, I don't, because I would never want anybody to go, Adele's just pushing himself out there. Yeah. And that's not the goal. But it's clear to me in this episode, Hillsong culture is loyal to Hillsong.
Yeah.
Like, let's talk about the volunteers part. Just the hours.
Yes.
Like,
yes,
the people
yes.
literally are saying we can't work full-time jobs because the amount of hours you. First of all, how do you pull that?
How do you pull it off?
Like, how do you get people to volunteer 30 hours a week?
Yeah. How do you pull that off?
But I think it goes back to the overarching struggle, because so there's two things that I thought about. And I'll ask, one is a statement and one's a question for you. In this episode, you realize when truth comes out or when tragedy happens, how we handle the truth determines how serious, like how faithful the church is to God. Like, and let's just be real honest. A lot of churches, when tragedy happens, go silent. And I'm not saying that we have to, like, I don't think that the way things were aired about Carl is okay. And it wasn't done to be transparent for the church. It was to hurt him out of jealousy. We get into that even later. But there's a whole lot of churches, things are happening and we don't talk about. And I don't think that's fair. I think when we sign up as pastors, as leaders of churches, our congregants have a right to know when their church has been abused, defiled, or whatever, to an extent. Yeah. Like, I don't think that, you have to give all the details, but I think they have the right to know, like, we have fallen short. It also shows me, when I say truth, there was no offer of repentance. There was no chance for reconciliation. They just murdered him. They literally just put him out, and I want to talk more about that in the next one. Yeah. Now, my question for you is this: who is more at fault, the church or the congregation? Because they're literally giving the people what they want.
I mean, I would say, just from the standpoint of what you see in Scripture, because you can even see this with the children of Israel whenever they were asking for a king,
right?
And God is like, I am your guy, but okay, here you are. So you can make the argument that it's the congregation's fault,
right?
But at the same time, you can go the other way, and it's like, okay, these people are supposed to be the shepherds,
right?
They're the overseers. They are taking care of the sheep. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, how are they supposed to know any better You know, you can go either.
Right. No, it's tough.
You can go either way.
Well, and I think you also,
or you can be like, it's both of their faults.
No, I mean, I feel like Hillsong saw what New York wanted, and I think you even said this nationwide about Hillsong.
Yeah.
Hillsong saw what people wanted, and they gave it to them.
Yeah.
Because you see this in episode 1, they love Carl.
Yeah.
They love what they're doing. They even celebrate the fact that when they started out, the place they're meeting at is a club, and we'd go in, and our feet smells, and our feet are sticking to the floor, and like they're prideful about what they're doing.
Yeah.
But when he falls, everybody, I didn't really like him. Mm-hmm. Like he fake cried.
He said this, or he did this, but like, he ain't never.
Nobody loved him anymore.
Yeah.
But before that, like people are literally like, I remember when he shook my hand.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah.
Like he's the coolest guy I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like I mean,
Carl Lentz is my pastor.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the girls says, I walked in that first Sunday and saw him, and basically said I could look at him every week.
Yep.
And so clearly there's a lust issue there.
Yep.
And we can debate if he wore appropriate clothes or not. He wore some like world-renowned deep V-necks and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I mean, they gave you exactly what you wanted.
Yeah.
Until it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Like I think that's the thing. Like because if you watch the episodes, they were perfectly fine with the staff that's on stage. They were perfectly fine with the way things were going. They were perfectly fine with serving for 30 hours. But the second they weren't fine, now we have a race issue. Now we have a volunteer issue. Yeah. Like, why didn't we have a volunteer and a race issue
beforehand?
Yeah,
yeah.
And again, I'm not agreeing with them not having minorities be a part of this. I'm just saying.
Because you have no excuse.
Right.
Like, there have been times where you're in a city where it's like, okay, it's only 5% black people or 5% this or whatever the case may be. So it's going to be hard to look like your community if your community is just white.
Right.
So, like, that's not really an issue. In New York,
never an issue. And first of all, you're Hillsong. Money's not an issue. Like, you can put out, we want a pastor, we want a worship leader that's black, Hispanic.
Right.
You ain't gonna find it ain't gonna be a problem.
Right.
Like you
exactly.
Gonna get,
so you are without excuse.
Right.
In this regard, from a standpoint of like you're talking about financially, or from a standpoint just where you're located.
Right.
If you want to look like your community, like you are in a melting pot of diversity.
Right. Well, and I mean, they even point that out when we talk more about the second one is they send these churches into areas that are the minority would be white, but send them in with white people.
Yeah.
Because he even talks about it in the next episode about Harlem and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
But it's just funny to me, all the things in episode 4 they hate about him, they didn't hate in episode 1.
Exactly.
Because
he was the mascot.
Right. Well, and that's the thing though. But I also think this should show you when your church isn't founded on the right thing, you will get bored with it.
Yep.
You will.
Yep. You'll find something wrong, or no person, and this could be an argument or not. I mean, I don't think it's much of an argument, but no person can handle this level of fame.
No. Not person not in be a believer.
Well, even you see it in the secular world,
right,
where you see, whenever Justin Bieber did fall apart,
right,
like in all of these different things.
But I meant like there's celebrities out there that just don't care what you think of them.
Right.
Like they just wild out. They don't care.
Yeah.
But I think if you are a Christian, especially a pastor, and there's supposed to be a level of humility to you, it's impossible.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're going to have a whole nother episode on celebrity pastors and stuff like that. Here's the bad part. We're talking about a young man when he started, and there's no one cautioning him. All they're doing is gaslight him. Get it.
And
then when
after it.
And then when it goes south, it's all on him.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's a good stopping point. And again, the things that we are discussing is based off of what we saw in the documentary. Yeah. So it's not us just bashing or dragging Hillsong or anything. These are just things that we saw, things that we observed from the initial episode. And this is how it's going to be for the next 3 episodes whenever we discuss the other episodes. So it's unfortunate. It's heartbreaking.
Yes, because we both agree when anything like this happens to a church, the one thing the lost world or the unchurched world does better than the church world is unify the church.
Yep.
So we all get hit, even though our little church plant ain't got nothing to do. Like we don't need a velvet robe.
Yep.
We got plenty of seats if you want to come visit.
Yeah.
But people that watch this go, this is why I don't want to go to church.
Yeah. Yeah. Or see, told you.
Yeah.
It was fake.
We didn't even ask. What do you have any? Give us any takeaways you took from the first one.
No, I mean I don't really have a whole lot to add. Y'all basically covered all of it. But I only know what was on the documentaries, about it. But I would definitely agree. A huge takeaway for me was just sitting there after the first episode was over, thinking, how in the world did they get that many people to volunteer for that much time? And I guess it's a mindset of, I guess like y'all said, the foundation or whatever. How do you get to 7,000 people or whatever, and not have the thought of we need to start a new church and separate some of this. This is not
right,
as intimate or the way that it's supposed to be.
So
because people are they even said in the first episode, people are traveling for
hours
and hours and hours.
I've actually read a document where someone that was taking the train from Philly, another state, every Sunday to be at church. Because I mean, they did 7 services, so it's not like you had to get up early.
Yeah,
right.
Like you could make a day of it and be in New York, but that's still crazy.
That is crazy.
So here's a question for you: as someone that's walking through the leadership process of our church as an elder, do you feel like, and we don't know this behind the scenes, we do know that they have eldership there. They talk about it. Not at all saying it's like what we do. But do you feel like, is there any way when your pastor is that famous that you can approach him and challenge him at all?
I think if you're rooted and grounded in on the right foundation, the answer should be yes. But I don't know that that's the.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just wondering, like, if I'm that famous, could you approach me and be like, "Hey, you shouldn't wear that jacket"? Like
I'm Dale freaking young.
Yeah, I mean, like, even like when you're watching the documentary, he clearly is in a green room, which I get. But like as he's walking to the stage, it's like a concert.
Yep.
Like everybody's patting him, everybody's shaking his hand. They're excited because Carl's coming out. Like, how in the world? I'm just even thinking to myself, how in the world do you approach me and go, "Hey, I don't know if what you preach today is completely spiritually accurate." Like, I just don't know if it works that way.
Right.
Maybe it does.
I think there's a different mindset.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I'm, you can get as famous as you want. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but also, I mean, which is a whole nother episode about, are you approachable if you even have the mindset to be that famous? Like
that's yeah.
Like that's a different thing entirely. So
yeah, no, that's good. I think that's a good stopping point. For the initial episode. So yeah, we'll be back next week on episode 2. And like Dale said before, if you want to watch this, it's on Hulu. It's 4 episodes.
This is on Hulu. I was thinking, we're not on Hulu.
No. I'm talking about the documentary, the Hillsong documentary.
It is on Hulu.
It's on Hulu. So if you want to basically keep up with what we're talking about, you can go ahead, and this is a plug for Hulu.
Yeah. Maybe they'll sponsor us. And if you have watched it and you disagree with us, please,
yes,
like, be respectful. We're not experts. We're just telling you what we feel. Put it in the comments. we'd love to hear your perspective, even if you agree or disagree. We'd love to be able to dialogue with you on that stuff.
For sure. So this has been Culture on Tap, Season 2, kicking it off with talking about Hillsong Episode 1. So thank you for tapping in with us, and we will see you guys next week. Culture on Tap is sponsored by Houston Radio Platinum, playing the best classic hits. You can download the Houston Radio Platinum app. It's in your app store, or just ask Alexa to play Houston Radio Platinum.